SourceSage was founded in 2015 as a B2B technology company that streamlines long-tail spend for companies. This has been a long journey for us. When I first came back from university, I studied at Oxford in the UK and then Princeton in the US. I always had this idea, what if I can combine my engineering studies in computer science with my dad's domain knowledge in sourcing business. A lot of countries and companies are focusing on domestic trade, which means that they will buy from local SMEs and local companies. And for us, I think that shift was really important. And that's when I think SourceSage vision really evolved to become the reinventing procurement in the long tail spend space. A lot of people have asked about how do you actually work with your dad? So for me, it was really clear. I think he was really clear as well at the beginning that when it comes to work, he will play his part where he can contribute his advisory knowledge. And for me, it was really running the company and day-to-day operations as the CEO. So I didn't see too much of a problem as what we have seen probably in other family business. But for us, it was a startup. We started from scratch. And I think what really inspired me was not just because we worked very well together to develop successful products, but really his humility in terms of accepting that, okay, I may not know this domain knowledge. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to let the younger generations take the lead to instruct him on what to do. And I think that's probably the most inspirational part within the entire founding journey. I would say that from a success standpoint, there are three aspects of that. And of course, the first one is really about people. I think the company can never be successful, or any company can never be successful if you do not have a great team. I think the second aspect of our greatest success is really in terms of the product. And the last aspect is really in terms of how we can transition not just from people and product, but also in terms of processes. I think any great company requires great internal processes to function. And with people, with product, we refine our processes to train the next generation of great leaders so that they can actually in turn come up with innovative products for the next generation. The global ambition of SourceSage is really to seek out global companies where we can reinvent their procurement for long-tail spend. So that really means for SourceSage, the adoption of our solution, not just for Singapore, but across the entire APAC, in Europe, in Germany, in United States. In order for us to realize this ambition and goal, we really need good banking partners. Citibank has been a great partner, not just in terms of the presence, but in terms of the relationship they're able to bring to the clients. The partnership work on two folds. The first part, of course, is that Citi's relationship with SourceSage is a client, service provider relationship where we utilize to automate our payments to supplier as the middle layer. On the other hand, we now have the ability to accept virtual card as well in our payment gateway. We could essentially accept the payments from Citi clients and also from non-Citi clients as well, where they can actually automate and consolidate their payments from the buyer side to SourceSage side, and from SourceSage side, we can automate that to the supplier side. I'll say that the trend moving forward, just like when iPhone was launched by Steve Jobs in 2007, he launched the phone, right? The phone functionalities, the internet communicator, and also the iPod for listening to music. And when he launched it, he was not talking about three different products, but one, which is the iPhone that reinvents, the phone industry. And similarly for SourceSage, how we have seen and what we will see in procurement space is the aggregation of different providers in different spaces into one single solution that cuts down costs, cuts down implementation time, cuts down sales cycle, where we can then have one solution that fits all in, say, the long-tail spend management space. Looking forward, we want to enable and empower 1,000 companies across APAC Pacific region. And that means, companies can actually adopt our solution not just in Singapore, but in Japan, in Korea, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in China, in Australia, in India, and the rest of Southeast Asia as well. And that's where we want to position our strengths in to be the Expedia for B2B procurement, where people think about how do I streamline my long-tail spend for my APAC offices. SourceSage was founded in 2015 as a B2B technology company that streamlines long-tail spend for companies. This has been a long journey for us. When I first came back from university, I studied at Oxford in the UK and then Princeton in the US. I always had this idea, what if I can combine my engineering studies in computer science with my dad's domain knowledge in sourcing business. A lot of countries and companies are focusing on domestic trade, which means that they will buy from local SMEs and local companies. And for us, I think that shift was really important. And that's when, I think SourceSage vision really evolved to become, the reinventing procurement in the long tail spend space.
Check one, two. Check one, two. Check one, two. Check one. All right, check. Welcome. We are here at SourceSage's CPO networking dinner. Very good evening, everybody. We would like to invite everybody who's outside to come on inside so that we can get this whole hoorah going this evening. Welcome. It is the CPO networking dinner that we're having tonight, organized by SourceSage. I was supposed to say we're not having any sausages tonight on the menu, but yes, we would like to invite everybody who's outside to come on in. You can continue your networking and your chatting and reconnecting with friends, business acquaintances, partners in the industry and everything all the way on site so we can start dinner as well. It's going to be a fun evening. Jinmin was telling me all the fun things that y'all going to get up to. I'm actually new to this, so I was like really watching the video and finding out. My name is Jill Marie Thomas, and this is Randy. We're going to kick off the evening by playing some music for you guys. I think it's very exciting. You guys have a very exciting night going on for y'all. You're going to have keynote speeches. This, I also found out from Jinmin that it's a hybrid event that's being live streamed to different countries all over the world. We have people in Malaysia, apa khabar? We also have like in Thailand, Sawadika. I'm trying to remember all the things. We also have in South Africa as well, Australia as well, Japan as well. So many different countries, but of course, welcome everybody here in Singapore as well. We're gonna sing some live music for you guys while you guys get seated and get comfortable. And we're gonna start right now. For the times that you rain on my parade, and all the clubs you get in using my name. You think you broke my heart, oh go for goodness sake. You think I'm crying, oh my, oh well I ain't. And I didn't want to write a song, cause I didn't want anyone thinking I still care, I don't. But you still hit my phone up. And baby, I've been moving on, and I think you should be something I don't want. Hold back, baby, you should know that my mama don't like you, she likes everyone. And I never like to admit that I was wrong. And I've been so caught up in my job, didn't see what's going on. Now I know I'm better sleeping on my own. Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. When you told me that you hated my friends, the only problem was with you and not them. And every time you told me my opinion was wrong, you tried to make me forget where I came from. And I didn't want to write a song, cause I didn't want anyone thinking I still care, I don't. But you still hit my phone up. Maybe I've been moving on, and I think you should be something I don't want hold back. Maybe you should know that my mama don't like you and she likes everyone. And I never like to admit that I was wrong. And I've been so caught up in my job, didn't see what's going on. Now I know I'm better sleeping on my own. As if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. For all the times that you made me feel so small, I fell in love, now I feel nothing at all. I never felt so low when I was vulnerable. Was I a fool to let you break down my walls? 'Cause if you like the way you look that much, oh baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. 'Cause I can't change even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. Ooh. 'Cause if you like the way you look that much, baby, you should go and love yourself. And if you think that I'm still holding on to something, you should go and love yourself. All right. Welcome, everybody. Nice to have everybody in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Jill. This is Randy. We are very happy to be here and playing for you guys at the CPO networking dinner here organized by SourceSage. But yeah, we're very happy. I actually met Jimin at another event that we played for, so I'm very happy to be here. We're gonna sing some songs for you guys. This one is gonna be an oldie but a goldie. Know your eyes in the morning sun, I feel you touch me in the pouring rain. At the moment that you wander far from me, I wanna feel you in my arms again. Then you come to me on a summer breeze, keep me warm in your love, then you softly leave. And it's me you need to show how deep is your love, how deep is your love. I really mean to learn, 'cause we're living in a world of fools, breaking us down, whether you shouldn't let us be. We belong to you and me, I believe in you. You know the door to my very soul. You're the light in my deepest, darkest hour. You're my savior when I fall. You may not think I care for you, when you know down inside that I really do. And it's me you need to show how deep is your love, how deep is your love. I really need to learn, 'cause us be. We belong to you and me. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ooh, we sing. Ba-da-da-da-da. Ooh, how deep is your love? Thank you very much. All right, the next song we're gonna do is a song that will resonate with all of us. Well, me especially, because I just want to stay forever young, you know. But yes, so this one's Forever Young by Alphaville. That starting style that stands for a while. Heaven can't wait, we're only watching the skies. Hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. Are you gonna drop the bomb or not? Let us stay young or let us live forever. We don't have the power, but we never say never. Sitting in the sand, life is a short trip. The music's for the sad men. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever, forever and ever? Some are like water, some are like the heat. Some are a melody, some are the beat. Sooner or later, they all will be gone. Why don't they stay young? It's so hard to get without a cause. Don't wanna perish like a fading horse. Yes, like diamonds in the sun, and diamonds are forever. Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever, forever and ever? Forever young, I wanna be forever young. Do you really wanna live forever, forever and ever young? Forever young, everybody. Thank you. Okay. And of course, in true Singaporean style, I see something here. Stand a chance to win up to $300 Grab gifts vouchers. Can I take part also? No, sorry, no, I'm just being kipo. So how do you participate, everybody? Remember, step 1, take a picture of a video of the event on LinkedIn. And step 2, of course, put a hashtag to it, hashtag 22Sage in sourcing, sourcing. And step 3, the one with the most likes by the end of the day will receive the voucher via email. I feel like I need to do this as well. But yes, no, I'm just being kipo. But yes, anyway, moving on. Next one we're going to do is another song. This one's a more recent song. It's by Katy Perry. This one's called Firework. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under stream, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance of you? 'Cause there's a spark in you. You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine, just so the night like the 4th go. Oh, oh, oh. You're gonna leave them falling down. Ow, ow. You don't have to feel like a waste of space. You're original, cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds, after a hurricane comes a rainbow. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you can open one, lead you to the golden road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow, and when it's time, you know, you just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just so the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show 'em what you're worth. Make them go, oh, oh, oh. As you shoot across the sky. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and let your colors burst. Make them go, oh, oh, oh. You're gonna leave them falling down. Oh, oh. I said a boom, boom, boom. Even brighter than the moon, moon. It's always been inside of you, you. I'm gonna let it start to do. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come and show 'em what you're worth. Make them go, oh, oh, oh. We're gonna leave them falling down. Firework, everybody. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna do a fun one right now. We're gonna do a fun one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rising up back on the street, did my time, took my chances. Went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens so fast. You change your passion for your glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive. It's the high of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of a rival. And the last known survivor stalks the spray of the night. And he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Face to face, out in the heat. Hang tough, staying hungry. They sack the odds, so we take to the street. For we kill with the skill to survive. It's the high of the tiger, it's the thrill of the night. Rising up to the challenge of a rival. And the last known survivor stalks and spray in the night. And he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Rising up, was straight to the top. Had the guts, got the glory. Went the distance, now I'm not gonna stop. Just a man and his will to survive. It's the high of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of a rival. And the last known survivor sucks his prey in the night. And he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. The tiger. Sorry, I had a lot of fun playing there with Randy here. Next one we're gonna do, this one we're gonna take it. For those of you who don't know where this song is from, it's from a movie, Robin Hood, with Kevin Costner in it. It's called Everything I Do It For You. I guess that's what SourceSage does, right? Everything I do it for you. Look into my eyes, you will see what you mean to me. Search your heart, search your soul, and when you find me there, your search no more. Don't tell me it's not worth fighting for. You can't tell me it's not worth dying for. You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. Look into your heart, you will find there's nothing there to hide. Take me as I am, take my life. I will give it all, I would sacrifice. Don't tell me it's not worth fighting for. I can't help it, it's nothing I want more. You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. Yeah, there's no love like your love, and no other could give more love. There's nowhere unless you're there all the time, all the way. My solo. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, you can't tell me it's not worth fighting for. I can't help it, there's nothing I want more. I would fight for you, I'd lie for you, walk the fight for you. Yeah, I'd die for you. No, it's true. Everything I do it for you. Ooh. Brian Adams for you guys. Sorry, I did my own guitar solo. All right, next one we're gonna do is familiar song, a very famous band. Lead singer was phenomenal. And then it got even more famous, this song, when it was featured in the show Glee. just to find emotion hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants thrill. I said, paying anything to roll the dice just one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some were born to sing the blues. What a movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting up and down the boulevard. Shadows searching in the night. Street light, people living just to find emotion hiding somewhere in the night. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. The street light, people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Street light, people. Don't stop. Don't stop believing. Yeah. It's always a very like inspirational song, right? You know, we're gonna do an even more fun one. This one is gonna be a Korean K-pop song. It's actually the only one I know because it's all in English. Genuine chose this song, huh? Secret K-pop fan, is it? That's why BTS, is it? You want to be a K-pop dancer, singer? Must be. Cause I'm in stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night alight. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. King Kong, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing a song, I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the wrong. Ding dong, call me on my phone, I see in a game of ping pong. I said, this is getting heavy, can you hear the bass boom? I'm ready, life is sweet as honey, yeah. This beat cha-ching like money. Disco overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go. I'm diamond, you know I glow up. Hey, so let's go. 'Cause I'm in stars tonight. So watch me break the fire, set the night alight. Shining through the city with a little funk and soul. I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, bring a friend, join the crowd, whoever wanna come along. Woo! What up, talk the talk, just move like we're off the wall. Day or night, skies are light, so we dance to the break of dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the medicine, so keep your eyes on the ball. I said, this is getting heavy, can you hear the bass boom? I'm ready, life is sweet as honey, yeah. This beat cha-ching like money. Disco overload, I'm into that, I'm good to go. I'm diamond, you know I'll go up. Hey, let's go! 'Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So watch me bring the vibes at the night light. Shining through the city with a little funk and soul. I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, whoa. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Life is dynamite. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Life is dynamite. Shining through the city with a little funk and soul. I'ma light it up like dynamite. Whoa, da na 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 eh, da na 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 eh, da na 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 eh, light it up like dynamite, da na 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 eh, da na 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 eh, da na 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 eh. I'm in stars tonight, so watch me bring the fire, start the night light, shining through the city with a little funk and soul. I'm lighted up like dynamite. Whoa, da na 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 na. Life is dynamite. Da na 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 na. Da, life is dynamite. Shining through the city with a little funk and soul. I'm lighted up like dynamite. Whoa, hey, dynamite, everybody. A bit of BTS for you guys. Closest I'll get to doing K-pop. But yes. Okay, the next one we're gonna do is one that during my time when I used to go to Zouk, the old Zouk at Jakim Road. Rick Astley. I love Rick Astley. I actually got to meet him when I did a concert once and I opened for him. I did at Fort Canning. Fun fact. But yes, I opened for him at Fort Canning for a Retrolicious concert. And that was good times. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A fool for commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's an aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna give you up. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Never gonna give you up. Oh, never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Oh, never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Hey, a bit of Rick Astley for you guys. Anyway, I just want to point out that Jenmin was the one who organized this whole song list. So if you're enjoying the music tonight, it's all thanks to him, okay? That he did the planning of the songs. And you'll find out later why. Next one we're gonna do is this one by Fun. And it's called We Are Young. Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting higher than the Empire State. My lover, she's waiting for me Just across the bar, my seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget, but between the dreams and subtle things, holes in my apologies. No, I'm trying not to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. Know that I'm not all that you got. Guess that I just thought maybe we could find a ways to fall apart, but we're friends and back. So let's raise a cup, 'cause I found someone to carry me home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. Carry me home tonight. Just carry me home tonight. Carry me home tonight. Just carry me home tonight. The world's on our side, no reason to run. So when someone come and carry me home tonight, the angels never ride, but I can hear the choir. So when someone come and carry me home tonight, we are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun. So by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight. We are young by Fun. Thank you very much. We've got 3 more songs to go. This one coming up right now is by Maroon 5. It's a song that I really like actually. It's called Memories, and it was actually written by Adam Levine for their manager who passed. So I think it's a very nice song. Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not, 'cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way, 'cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain, when I believed in forever and everything would stay the same. Now my heart feel like December when somebody say your name, 'cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day. Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. Everything will be alright. Go and raise a glass and say, here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. But the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way, 'cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I never felt so lost, when I felt that all the hatred was too powerful to stop. Now my heart feels like an ember and it's lighting out the dark. I'll carry this torch just for you, that you know I'll never drown it. Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. Hey, everything will be alright. Go and raise a glass and say yes to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not, 'cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today, toast to the ones that we lost on the way, 'cause the drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. Yay. Memories, everybody, Maroon 5. Thank you very much. 2 more songs to go. This one, oldie but a goldie, Starship, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. Whenever I sing this song, I always feel very excited. I don't know why. Especially when they go, let them say we're crazy. You know what I mean? Wait. Okay. Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise. This world that I found is too good to be true. Standing here beside you, want so much to give you this love in my heart that I'm feeling for you. Let them say we're crazy, don't care about that. Put your hand in mine, baby, don't ever look back. Let the world around us just fall apart. Baby, we can make it ever heart to heart, and we can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still love each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now. I'm so glad I found you. I'm not gonna lose you. Whatever it takes, I will stay here with you. Take it to the good times, see it through the bad times. Whatever it takes is what I'm gonna do. Let them say we're crazy. What do they know? Put your arms around me, baby, don't ever let go. Let the world around us just fall apart. Baby, we can make it if we're heart to heart, and we can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still love each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us. Ooh, all that I need is you. All that I ever need. You know that I want to do. Hold you forever, forever and ever. Hey! Da, 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 oh, oh, yeah. We can build this thing together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still love each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now. That was a fun one. All right, we're down to our last song for this evening. Once again, my name is Jo Marie Thomas. This is Randy. Thank you, Jian-Min and SourceSage, for having us here at the CPO Networking today. I hope you guys enjoyed the music that was fine-tuned and decided upon by this man himself. So he has... Actually, you have good taste. I just want to say that. The song's all I like, but yes. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. We have a very exciting night lined up for you guys. So we're going to sing this last song, and then we're going to kick off the night. Yes. right, thank you very much, everybody. Once again, my name is Jill. This is Randy. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much, Jamie and SourceSage. Enjoy the evening, everybody. Bye.
Stand up in the club, come on, let's go. She want me to come, you want me to go. And if you wanna fight, let's start a show. Cause I want you to be mine. Stand up in the club, come on, let's go. And I want you to come, I won't let you go. So if you wanna dance, let's start a show. Cause I want you to be mine. Yeah, I want you to be mine.
Thanks. All right. Okay, I'm not here to sing, of course. Although I did play in a band when I was in university. But I mean, the story of how I get to know Jill and Randy is because I attended an event. I think, Cushman and Wakefield guys who invited me for the event would know. Then, as a band member last time, I think years ago, I can recognize a good band in the making, right? So definitely, I reach out to them, walk up to them and say, so if you guys have, anything you would like to, them to perform, do reach out to, Randy and of course Jill as well, or we can actually share the contact should you require their, help in some of the events. So over the next segment, maybe just to highlight a bit, there is actually a lucky draw towards the end of the event itself. So I know some of you have taken, photos and videos. So step one, take a video or a photo of the event. You can hashtag Sage in Sourcing on LinkedIn. I believe everyone here should have LinkedIn. If not, then it's fine, I guess. And then, of course, the one that receives the most likes will receive a lucky draw at the end of the day itself. So my team in the backup room will actually evaluate all the different hashtags posts on LinkedIn. Yeah. Now, I think over on my table, just to share an interesting tidbit, some of the guys have asked why these songs, right? You have Viva la Vida, which I think about French Revolution, correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's also Eye of the Tiger, Everything I Do It for You. There's a meaning for that, right? Because in procurement world, I hope to really recognize the efforts of every procurement individuals and professionals, right? Because you guys have played an important role in every organization, right? So everything you do it, for the rest of the staff, I guess, in the company. You are the eye of the tiger, for the entire company when it comes to procurement. I guess many other stuff as well. I think some of you are laughing. And then, of course, at the end of the day, one of the key songs is Crazy Little Thing Called Love, which is, very importantly, I think everyone is here, for many years, decades even, because I think you all have passion, for the industry. You have a passion for procurement. Now, let me move on to the next segment, which is more towards the agenda. Before I do that, I'll just play a video. There's sound. Okay, so I'll start this proper. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, speakers, Go sponsor, iValuer, event partner, Grab for Business, who supported us for the lucky draw. And of course, thank you very much to all the different 100+ attendees, CPOs and procurement leaders across the world who are watching this at this moment in time. I think Jill has mentioned there are people from Japan, there are people from China, there are people from Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Australia, and many parts of the world. Even, we have seen attendees from South Africa and United States as well. So I think good evening, good afternoon, or good morning to you, depending on your time zone. Thank you very much for taking time off on a Monday, especially because I think today has rained very heavily when you arrive here, right? So thank you very much for taking your effort. It gives me great pleasure to open this year's hybrid event. I think this year is really special because we collaborate with ProcureCon, which I think many of you would know, ProcureCon, our co-organizer for broadcasting this year's event, to hundreds of attendees across the world. And of course, it is exciting, not just because it's, partnership with ProcureCon, but especially because I think the world is recovering, from the pandemic for the last 2 years. So a lot of people are yearning for, event, right? I think some of us have attended the July event by ProcureCon. And then of course, this week, there's procurement leaders and a couple of events in the pipeline, right? And I will say that another interesting part is because I think SourceSage, this is our 7th year of founding, right? And 7 November, 7 p.m., and then 7 years of founding, and 7 breakout tracks, right? I think all these are coincidental. Why the number 7, right? I think some revelation or what. But I think we have been very lucky and fortunate to be entrusted, by our stakeholders, partners, sponsors, in fulfilling our mission to help to streamline procurement, right, through our aggregator model, which is aggregating, the catalogs from multiple e-commerce marketplaces, right? You can think about Shopee, Lazada, FairPrice, Amazon, and across the world, you have thousands or even hundreds of marketplaces, right? So how do we actually combine the advantages and investments on this platform and use a one vendor model to streamline procurement, billing, and also reporting, for all, folks in the industry, and also for the procurement space where you can actually allow your staff to be more self-serve, right? If that's the word. And of course, we would like to thank our dedicated support from our customers over the years, especially, today we have DPDHL, we have Certis, we have Cushman and Wakefield, we have Toll Group, we have AIC couldn't attend, but our customers include AIC, TikTok, ByteDance couldn't attend, but they are also customers, for believing in the vision of SourceSage and for having the foresight, I must applaud, for having the foresight to believe in new technologies to do something better, where we can actually reinvent the way we deal with long tail spend, especially, right? And of course, today I think it's also interesting. Yeah, I'll just skip this because this is more of our positioning of being the aggregator or Expedia for procurement. The agenda is really special because we have invited, Mr. Chia Se-hui, who is the Chief of Government Procurement, Ministry of Finance of Singapore. And of course, later on, we do have awards to some of the companies from the organizer. We have Digital Excellence Award, Digital Innovation Award, and Global Digital Impact Award as well. And of course, later on, we do have 7 great speakers from different concurrent tracks, right? So we have Henry from DPDHL in Malaysia doing the track with us. We do have Tusha from Toll Group in Australia, who is doing the breakout track with us as well, and many others, right, including Nadia from Asian Development Bank in Philippines, who will be dialing in for our online speakers or attendees, right, who will actually be viewing that online. And of course, finally, we do have a great list of panelists, CPOs, and senior procurement leaders who will be joining us for the final main session. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite our next speaker, which is Mr. Chia Se-hui, Chief of Government Procurement, Ministry of Finance of Singapore. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you.
Right. Thanks. Thanks, Jiaming, for inviting me. A very good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, guests. Actually, I'm very honored to be invited to speak in front of so many eminent procurement practitioners. In fact, I can't claim to know more than many of you in this room and on the virtual link. And in fact, what I want to do is very much wish to learn more from you. So it's the way I see it is my sharing hopefully triggers broader conversations, sharing, exchanges that can result in deeper insights for all of us. Now, when we think about the theme of today's event, in fact, when Jiaming shared with me the topic, he suggested, innovative technologies in improving procurement. I thought it might conjure up, ideas about AI, machine learning, blockchain, data analytics to gather business intelligence. I think that probably comes to mind, robotics process automations. And 5 years ago, when Gulf Insider interviewed me about innovations in procurement, I also mentioned AI, drafting contracts using machine learning to pick out anomalies from fraud detection, for example. These were solutions that were already being tested out. And if you Google technology trends in procurement, you might, find new ones. But my point, actually then and now, it's not so much about new technologies, because at the heart of the matter really is how can we do things differently to benefit our organizations and our staff that's trying to get the job done, right? Technology or no, it's quite independent of that. There are many expectations placed on procurement teams today, beyond getting value for money for services and goods. There's also greater awareness about the need for resilient supply chains, meeting ESG objectives. I think all of us in this room, right, are familiar with that. Where we can, I think we need to find ways to make procurement process more streamlined and automated, with tools that help the procurement teams to work better, right? So that's what the focus. That's the focus of why we are trying to invest in technologies and whatever interesting tools. And sometimes maybe, right, the solution might not be might be the simple, using of Excel spreadsheets instead of very sophisticated tools, right? So it's about using the right tools for the job. I want to share a little bit about our experiment in this regard. And about 2 years ago, my minister, Indrani, mentioned in Parliament about an initiative that the Ministry of Finance was pursuing with Government Technology Agency to co-create a solution to facilitate public officers to make small value purchases of e-commerce malls. It began actually with a service journey. What a service journey is really is walking through the process in the user's perspective. A service journey with public officers from various agencies. And this involved users, procurement officers, finance officers, coming together to identify their pain points. And how might we do things differently? One issue flagged out was that some officers in some agencies were finding it very onerous to even make small value purchases, And they were jumping through a lot of hoops. Buying and claim process sometimes took a lot of time and justification. For example, their bosses might want to be assured, hey, is this the best value for money, right? And the manpower costs incurred in this back and forth, right, with between the approver and the requester, sometimes could end up taking up more time than the cost of the purchases. And then the other pain point was officers didn't know which account code to charge to. I don't know how many of you in the room might encounter that, right? The finance people saying, hey, you should have charged to this account, and if it's wrong, they throw it back at you. So this leads to a lot of frustration, right? And there was also no consolidation of data, no central system to manage the small value purchases, unlike the use of GBIS for higher value purchases. So officers buy and claim back from their agency finance, and not all the info is captured and sent back. So through the brainstorming process to address these issues, the review team actually envisaged a desired process for making small value purchases, which eventually evolved into Quick Buy at SGov, which is the little logo you see at the sides. What it does is that it allows officers to buy from partner e-commerce malls, just as they would their personal purchases, right? Just as you would on Amazon or whatever. But the difference is corporate billing, right? So when you go to checking out, instead of paying with your card, your personal credit card, it goes to corporate billing. And officers don't have to pay first and claim later. There is no compromise in financial governance because the shopping cart is routed first to the approving officer before they are fulfilled. And the data on who bought what and at what price and how frequently are then centrally captured. GovTech, which is short for Government Technology Agency, actually developed the middleware which links up the e-commerce mall websites with our own internal agency, HR and finance systems, so that the middleware knows who to route the purchases to, and it maps the purchase type to the appropriate account code. QuickBuy is actually in the process of being rolled out to government agencies, but it has received very good feedback. It has cut short the approval process, cut short the procurement process significantly. And with the data that's being collected, actually, there's a lot more business intelligence that we can get. Where I'm going with this is that it actually helps to free up time, right? The tools help to free up time, free up the energy to focus on other responsibilities that they have, right? Procurement officers have a lot of things on their plates, and we need to make their lives easier. And as I said, right, with the data now on the purchase patterns, we will make it easier. It will make it easier for us to look at abuses, identify the cost norms, identify common purchases. And then with that picture, then we can say, hey, how can we buy things differently? And much, much more. So that's what it opens up, right, with this kind of tool. Right. So armed with a little bit of confidence from our QuickBuy efforts, we are currently looking at revamping Geodis, which some of you may know is the platform that the government uses to call tenders and quotations. We have a similar ambition to make procurement easier, automate manual processes, reduce admin burden, so as to allow officers to focus more on strategizing, decision-making, and applying judgment. Right? But to do this properly, we don't just want to replace the current Geodis. Some of you may have come across Geodis. We don't just want to replace the current Geodis. We want to integrate the overall budget to procure to contract management and payment process. It's not going to be an easy task. It's going to be a more difficult one than the journey we had for QuickBuy. Because today, our budgeting and procurement system, budgeting and payment systems are distinct from procurement system, right? Ministries and organs of state are mostly on the same budgeting and finance system, but statutory boards, about 60 of them, right? Some of them have their own distinct systems, like payment systems. I think those of you working in MNCs may experience a similar kind of encounter. We don't envisage a one system, right, to handle everything. But we think that the viable solution is a network of systems that interfaces with one another. This is necessary because there's a wide variation of government agencies doing different types of work, you know, from Land Transport Authority to National Arts Council to the ministries, all buying very different things. There's a large variation in their business, in the things they buy, in the types of things they buy, right? So we want to reduce the variations as far as possible, but we don't think we can eliminate them entirely, right? We want to be able to integrate the different systems together and ensure there's interoperability. But not too many, right? You don't want to integrate too many systems because it's going to be expensive. So one of the first few steps we want to take is pursue standardization of processes across agencies to the extent reasonable. And this is being done already in the finance processes. And we'll be doing more, doing this for the procurement processes as well, before we pick the solution to replace Geodis. The common thread then in both QuickBuy and the replacement for Geodis is that we want to relook at the processes before finding the innovative solution to cater for them. If we don't review the processes first, we will simply be digitalizing a suboptimal process, right? Which ends up costing more. And while we are considering, of course, to establish solutions like iValuer, Cooper, and SAP, and so on, we are also keeping an open mind about other possibilities. For instance, are there SaaS, software as a service solutions that might be particularly suitable for certain parts of the procurement process, right? Chatbots, drafting of specifications, sourcing of potential suppliers, or compliance monitoring. Are there some of these that we could then kind of connect together, right, as an integrated solution? Either as a replacement of the established enterprise solutions or as an add-on, right? So these are things that we are looking at, and there are many, many possibilities. And the first, of course, the important thing is streamlining, reviewing processes. There's, of course, a certain feedback loop as well, right? Because depending on what is the commercial solutions out there, then maybe some of our processes should be adapted to it. So this is a slightly iterative process. Now then, what's ahead of us, right? There's a lot ahead of us, as I've shared. I tell my team, I tell my staff that I believe procurement is a sunrise industry. There are lots of opportunities to improve procurement, particularly when we see it as part of a bigger value chain, right? From budget to payment and contract management. And it'll be essential that we work with our colleagues in the finance departments on this journey, because they handle parts of the process that's upstream and downstream of procurement. It's also important then for our officers to understand the bigger picture, not just the sourcing part, not just the procurement part, but also re-looking at the whole process, upstream and downstream of us. Of course, some trade-offs may need to be made, right? As some processes may benefit finance. Some processes that benefit finance may not work well for procurement, and vice versa. So we need to have that synergistic kind of discussion to see what is optimal. What is important is that the finance and procurement departments tackle this together rather than alone. And if we do this well, I believe it will benefit our teams and our organizations. So among the procurement community gathered here tonight, there is also much we can learn from one another. And the organizers, I believe, have put together a very comprehensive program for the rest of the evening for us to hear from one another. I very much would like to hear your stories. And I hope tonight is also the trigger for much more conversations ahead of us. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much again to Mr. Chia Se Hui, I think, for the insightful comments, especially since government procurement versus commercial world, sometimes there are gaps in between. Of course, there are more different considerations on both sides. So some of the key ideas and learnings can be actually established from both angles and both perspectives as well. Now we will go to the next segment, which is actually the award ceremony. So wow, there's interesting music. Yeah. Okay. So this year actually is kind of special, right? Because I think in the past we did have, you do see a lot of procurement awards being established, and of course, from our co-organizer as well, from ProcureCon, and also from other procurement organizations. So this year we had quite a number of nominations, not just from our existing customers. I mean, don't mistaken that, but it's also for the broader community as well. And I think we have three different awards, So Global Digital Impact Award, which talks about, the role of global programs and platforms that helps to change the way procurement is done, right? Either in the small manner or big manner or medium manner. The other one is actually digital innovation, right? So digital innovation is talking about things that are done pretty differently, or they challenge the different status quo, right, of existing organization. The last one is Digital Excellence Award. So Digital Excellence Award, we are talking about companies that actually give good practices for their own implementation, or they are able to roll out solution in pretty fast manner, right? I think in some of the examples we have seen, companies have rolled out even a procurement solution in Australia or other countries in less than a month's time, right? 1.51 month, right? So now announce, okay, we don't have the drums rolling, but I guess we'll announce the first winner for the Global Digital Impact Award, right? And the winner goes to, and I would like to invite Mr. John Sim, who is the co-founder of SourceSage as well. Yep, up on stage. Yeah, exciting moment. Yep, and the first winner goes to, oh, be careful. The first winner goes to, and I also don't know who it goes to. DPDHL. So I'd like to welcome Thibaut, Geraldine, Yi Hong as well on stage. Yep, so I think this was nominated from the co-organizers and us. I would like to present the award to the entire DHL team as well. Yep. So on behalf of the organizing committee, congrats to Deutsche Post DHL Group for winning this Global Impact Award, or for being recognized, I guess, right, in their global implementation. Yep. I think there's always a first phase of getting shocked, surprise, and then to acceptance. Yep. Congrats again, right, to DHL Group. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to God. Thanks, Yvonne. Now, for the next winner, this is not the Global Digital Impact Award, but if I'm not wrong, it's either the Digital Innovation or Excellence. Apologies about that. The second award goes to Toll Group for Digital Excellence Award for the implementation of platforms in pretty short period of time that we have seen in the submission. So I'd like to present to Man Yun, who represents Toll Group. And congrats, of course, to Toll Group users or attendees who might be watching this from Australia as well. Yeah. Congrats again to Man Yun. Yeah. Thank you. Yep, and the third award is also kind of special. If I'm not wrong, is Digital Innovation. And this year, in 2022, it goes to Cushman and Wakefield Digital Excellence Award for implementation of the platform in Singapore. I'd like to invite Wei Kai as well and Peter Woon. Yep. We must recognize that later Peter will be in the panel as well, where we will be talking about some of the key experiences of implementing platforms as a standalone punch-out catalog or multi-catalog system. Yep. Do you want to come to the front, John? Yep. Congrats again, and put our hands together. Yep. And I guess the last one, which is actually, on digital innovation, if I'm not wrong, it goes to Agency for Integrated Care, right? Sorry about typo. I do not think there is an attendee, but we have informed AIC. So Danny will be receiving this award on behalf of Rina, Chu Ming, and also team from AIC. Yep. Congrats again to AIC who may be watching this, Rina. Congrats to you and your team for pushing the limits, and of course in a good way, and allowing innovation to flourish, especially in government agencies as well. Yep. Thank you very much, John. Okay, now we'll move to the next section. If I'm not wrong, it should be playing, but we'll move to the next section actually for the panel, fireside chat with Mr. Dennis Lui and also Peter Woon. We will wait for the chairs to be shifted on stage. Before that, we have a slight commercial. Sorry about that. Because Grab for Business is our sponsor for the event itself and the lucky draw. I must thank the Grab for Business team as well as Anthony as well, who's sponsor for this event. Thank you very much. And we will welcome Mr. Dennis Lui and Peter Woon as well on stage.
Is it hard to run a business? Is it hard to keep your team motivated? Is it hard to run things efficiently while trying to make employees happy and keeping costs low? If the answer is yes, then consider choosing Grab for Business. It's a platform that helps you save time on tedious processes and gives employees the Grab services they love. Grab services like a nice clean ride to their meeting, food delivery from their favorite restaurant, or the ease of booking multiple deliveries at a go. We ensure that deliveries are secure, convenient, and fast. Plus, you won't have to worry about your office supplies running low. On the Grab for Business portal, you can manage and monitor employee benefits easily, saving valuable time in the long run. And should you ever have any questions, your dedicated account manager will be there to support you every step of the way. So whatever your industry, your company size, or your favorite office setup right now, take your business to the next level with Grab for Business.
Okay, I think there's some slight shift in the program. But before I invite the fireside panelists on stage first, I would like to just do a brief product demo and launch by SourceSage team and also Dr. Jack Trin, who is actually a machine learning data scientist from NTU site, will be sharing some of the new technologies that would actually make a lot of change to the way we compute cost savings, right? But before we look into that, I would like to just share a few things on my side, and of course to lead into that discussion, right? I think the first and foremost is that there are plenty of procurement solutions today, right? I think there's no lack of procurement solutions, whether we look from the software angle, the workflow, the infrastructure. I think this was taken from one of the slides from A.T. Kearney in 2021 of the top 100 pioneering digital procurement solutions. I tried to search very hard, SourceSage is not on it yet. Hopefully one day we will be on it. But what is really interesting, of course, is that besides the big boys who appear on this slide, we start to see some of the smaller names, companies, right, who are trying to disrupt each of the pocket of segments of the industry in procurement. And what we have seen, of course, is that over the last many years, right, perhaps if we were to sort of look on hindsight from 1996, where Alibaba was founded, all the way fast forward to today, right? When we look at 2020 to present, right, we are starting to see actually a convergence or emergence of verticalized B2B marketplaces, right? And this is actually perhaps one of the areas which are very, very well funded by VCs today. I think it used to be e-commerce on B2C side, then it went on to verticalized B2C, right? Fashions and clothing and all that. And then it went on to verticalize B2B. So perhaps there's actually a trend. And what's really interesting is that these B2B marketplaces are actually not just talking about non-critical spend. In fact, in China, and I know we have a few attendees from China today on the webinar, there are platforms that are talking about steel, chemicals, plastics, right? And I think one of the attendees here, whom I invited, Kokui from Mitsui site, has been working with SourceSage actually on the plastic raw materials. And what's really interesting is that many of these companies are starting to look at ways where they can actually change the way of buying as well as selling, right? It takes both sides to build B2B. And if we were to look actually at the number of solutions, which was the previous slide and this slide as well, we'll start to see that if you are a company, a purchaser looking at different solutions, how do you actually choose, right? You could write a tender, you could invite people to bid for projects or platform projects per se. But there are just so many of them out there. How do you ensure yourself to be choosing the right one? And how are we integrating this into the current procurement ecosystems that we have? So we are talking about, in your current company, you have your existing policies, your platforms, your softwares. So it's not as easy to say that if I were to adopt this solution and then what happens, right? So you need to actually bridge the chasm, right? Or cross the chasm in that case. And today, SourceSage actually will be introducing 3 different ways where we can actually provoke the thinking, for procurement leaders here. I think the first concept that we have is actually a fully configurable multi-catalog system, right? Just now, in the speech earlier, we hear about attempts where we can actually streamline small value buy, right? By integrating with each and every e-commerce marketplace there. But of course, that being said, do we have other ways where we can actually combine and consolidate all these different catalogs onto one single interface? The second one is that many of the existing companies here today already has your approved vendors, right? You already have procurement software, right? Whether iValuer or some other procurement softwares, right? And of course, some of the key ideas here is that if I were to integrate a punch-out catalog, the suppliers may not have such a capability. And therefore, who do I look for? Or do they actually find an IT vendor themselves to do a punch-out integration? What is in it for them, right? Assuming that you have hundreds or 200. So these are some of the key things where we can then consider how do we then actually formulate a fully configurable supplier punch-out platform for each of the supplier in a more automatable fashion, which means that supplier comes in to some bespoke platform and then they get the punch-out integration or capability. And the last one, which is really interesting in my regard, because I worked in A-Star for a number of years, after I graduated from Oxford, and then I worked as a data scientist. So, I was very involved in machine learning as a researcher. And one of the cool things that we are always infatuated with is really AI-powered engine. How can AI actually, showcase value to procurement industry, right? Where, you're talking about thousands of different or millions of different invoices across the many years, right? In terms of the history of the company's procurement. And what is in it, of course, when companies adopt AI. Now, AI wouldn't be useful if it's just AI alone, right? It has to come with data. And we believe that by combining AI technologies out there, or even startups out there, together with the data that you are able to have within your ecosystem, we can actually showcase some value which Dr. Jack will be sharing later on. And of course, and I just wanted to quote Steve Jobs in 2007, right? When he launched the iPhone, he was not talking about 3 different products, but a single product called iPhone. And today, where we are coming from, whether we are talking about a fully configurable punch-out catalogs, for suppliers, or the fully configurable multi-catalog system or AI-powered engine actually resides in one single system. What if there's a possibility? And today we are calling it the Sage insourcing, right? How do we introduce wisdom, insourcing and procurement, and reinvent the way in which procurement will be done? And now I shall invite and put our hands together for Danny Chua, who is the product lead for SourceSage, as well as followed by him will be Dr. Jack Trin, a data scientist and machine learning scientist from NTU. Over to you, Danny. Yep.
Okay, so today I'll be showing off, I guess, 2 different models that we use at SourceSage. So right now, I'll start with the punch-in catalog. So the punch-in simply means that we channel our products via technical integration into your procurement environment. So your users never leave your own procurement environment. The other option would be punch-out. So punch-out is slightly different. It basically means you conduct your shopping within the supplier's environment before being brought back to your ERP. So basically, your shopping cart from the supplier's environment gets transferred back into your procurement environment. Yeah, so here's a short demo, right? Right now, you're looking at the SourceSage aggregator database. So inside the database, there's actually many marketplaces all over the world, and all the data is stored. So right here, you're looking at a simple search query, right, of mineral water, and that was the raw search data. But over here right now, this is a simplified version of how it should look like within your ERP system. Next, this is a sample ERP system, right, whereby we are actually channeling that data within to your ERP, right? And what you see here, basically, is the same results that you would get if you search within SourceSage and within your ERP system. So if you actually take a look right here, I know it's a bit small, but actually we are aggregating from multiple marketplaces. So actually you can see that actually it's actually Shopee and FairPrice. So there's actually 2 being displayed. After that, when you're done, you actually check out, and when you're check out, all the approvals are still handled within your own ERP. Okay, so next, I'll move on to the punch-out model. So the punch-in was actually more towards how we handle our data being transferred within your own system. Next is punch-out. So you're going to look at how we can provide like a customized platform whereby your products, whereby the suppliers have their own portal whereby you can actually transfer and look at the data. So how a punch out is set up is through, you have to actually set up the entire raw data structure. So what you're seeing here is actually CXML data. So you actually have to set up the validation for the credentials, and when you do an actual punch out, that was what was being sent to your supplier, to your ERP, through your ERP. So this is actually a successful punch out request, and now you're actually being brought into a SourceSage platform. So over here is a SourceSage platform, and I'm about to show you how customizable the landing page is. So this is a sped up video of how customizable the platform is. So your branding, your color themes can all be shown easily here. Right, and then we can customize how the entire look and feel of the entire page looks like. Right, and basically that's done. You have actually changed the theme, the logos, and all the custom stores at the bottom. Right, so now I'm about to show you something that what we are actually developed on our system, the newer features. So one of the newer features that I'm about to show is actually GRN for partial line items, right? And actually, we actually face this issue whereby we actually have to wait for the entire order to be GRN before anything could be done, right? And right here, documentations can be stored within your system. So it's more sustainable in nature, right? We no longer have to hold paper documents which could be lost, right? Everything is stored on cloud. So data is information and information is power, right? We have actually developed a set of analytics within our system to actually help give better insights into your users' spending habits. So over here, you simply choose the date and time, right? And all the data will be collected, tabulated, and shown in a sort of like a report form, right? Bars, various charts, spend analysis, will all be stored on platform for your easy viewing. We also provide individual vendor analysis. So for example, you want to find out about a specific vendor that is how a specific vendor is performing within your system. You can actually come to our vendor analysis system, right? Select the date and time, and it will collate all the data that your supplier, how your supplier has performed. Yeah. So on the next part, reporting is a very difficult and tedious task. It's extremely cumbersome because the user actually has to, get all the data, put it all together into a report, and then send it up to the higher ups, right? So what we've done is the system will automatically generate reports that you require based on the templates that you need. So over here is sort of like a data form that shows outstanding deliveries. So another system that we have is actually to blacklist terms that you don't want your users to search. So this could be like weapons, right? And then basically it completely blocks out any of those. So now over here is a sample punch out process. So for the user journey, everything that we've shown would be for naught if basically, this is very difficult to use, right? So right now the user is actually searching for Milo, right? And he's got a lot of results. It's very difficult. So he has come to do a comparison, right? And actually what is being shown here is results across multiple marketplaces. So you could have Milos from Amazon, FairPrice, and Shopee. And then he can do a base comparison across all these products. So I think he has chosen one. And this looks like a Milo from, I can't really see, but that's from one of the stores, right? So what actually is shown here will be the details of the product, like the price and all. Okay, so he has decided that this product is fine. He has actually come to the shopping cart, whereby he will check the shipping cost and then do a punch out. So on the punch out, this data is actually transferred back to your system. And this is actually a successful punch out, right? So now I'll just hand over the time to Jack. Yep, Dr. Jack.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here tonight. So maybe just a brief introduction of myself. My name is Jack. I graduated from NTU a while ago with a PhD degree and worked in some projects involving data modeling and data analysis, and that's what brought me in the field of machine learning. So I'm glad to be here tonight for some demonstration of how SourceSage has leveraged the use of machine learning to solve tasks in the field of procurement. Okay, I don't have any slides, but don't worry, there will be some demos later. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, first of all, let's talk about one of the maybe very familiar tasks in procurement, product categorization, product classification, okay? So imagine we're working with many vendors, right, clients, and we end up in our catalogs with, let's say, for example, 100,000 of products, right? And we want to classify them into different categories because we want to use them for some downstream tasks, for example, a product recommendation system, for example, right? So we want to keep them organized. And how we're gonna do that? We definitely not doing this manually because it will take lots of time and human resource, right? And we imagine 100,000 products. It's impossible to do it manually. So we have to use other way, and one of the ways is machine learning. Okay, and maybe we can see the demo here. So this is an interface allowing us to interact with the product classification model. On the left is a box that we can provide some input, and on the right is going to show the result after the model analysis, the words that we provide. Okay, in the product, let's say we input, for example, a word computer, and click submit, and then the model understands it and give the real result, IT accessory and equipment. Another word, maybe we can try sanitizer. And then we put the product into medical, okay? And maybe we try another longer phrase, for example. Okay, MacBook Air, 256 gigabyte SSD, okay, and submit. Let's see. Okay, IT accessory and equipment again. Okay, maybe let's go a bit deeper, understanding how machine learning works, okay? Let's say now we provide the same long phrase as we provided just now in the other cell. Okay, MacBook Air 256 gigabyte SSD and execute the code. Wait for it to analyze, and then we click in the IT accessory and equipment category. You're gonna see the model breaks the sentence down to different words and subwords. Okay, and because the model has been trained to understand these words belongs to IT accessory and equipment, so it pushes the score towards the value of 1. Okay, so 0.98. Okay, because it was trained to understand these words. Okay, but let's go to other, for example, pantry supplies, okay, office and pantry supplies, because these words are trained to understand that, okay, they are not belong to this category, so it's pushed the score towards the value of 0 and away from the score of 1. Okay, so that's how this product classification works. All right, okay, now another task we can think about is probably search relevance, okay? Perhaps all of us are so familiar with using Google to search to retrieve necessary information. Okay, any information that we want, we open the browser and search Google for that. Okay, so in procurement, we want to do the same. We want to provide our users the same functionality. Okay, let's say the user provide a search term in a search box, and our model returns them with, let's say, a list of most relevant items retrieved from our database. Okay, so let's see a demo how we can do with machine learning in this. Okay, now it's just a similar interface, but now with a search relevance algorithm running in the back end. Okay, so now let's say we can input some word. Okay, MacBook, and click submit. And now this is the most relevant, the 100 most relevant products retrieved from our items. Okay, and now if you note that in our catalog we don't have many items contain the word MacBook itself. Okay, but the model was trained and understand that, okay, MacBook is something related to laptop or notebook. So although in your right side you don't see any many words MacBook, but you do see laptop, for example, laptop riser, for example, and notebook, okay, and maybe laptop again. Okay, so that's how the model was trained and understand the semantic meaning behind the words, okay? We don't have to explicitly give the word laptop in the search box itself, but the model understand and retrieve the relevant product from our database. Okay, now we can go a little bit further. Let's say we want to use our search relevant algorithms to do clustering, not only for search, but also for clustering, grouping items, similar items together to, let's say, for example, calculate the average cost among the items, and from that we can do cost saving, for example. Okay, you can see a last demo here on the screen. So now you're seeing the 5 sample items. Okay, from, for example, platform A, I would say. Okay, and now let's take the first line, the first product as an example. Okay, now you have the first column, the product name, and then the second column is the true price of this product in this platform A. Okay, and now the third column is the average price. How we computed this average price? We use the search algorithm to search across all the platforms. So, for example, platform B, C, and D for these similar items. Okay, and then we compute the average price across this whole of 4 platforms, and we also can compute the percentage of the difference of the true price and the average price. Okay, and from that we can say, okay, for this item, platform A is selling with a lower price compared to the average price, and so we can make the suggestion that, okay, let's purchase this item from platform 1 rather than other platforms. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the session so far, and thank you for listening.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Jack. Yep. You know, one thing I have worked with him on, perhaps I understand. I think his level is beyond mine. Of course, when I work in A-Star, we were using neural network, but one of the cool things we have utilized and learned from Google as well is that Google has this model called BERT, not B-I-R-T, but B-E-R-T. So it's quite a state-of-the-art technology that many of the machine learning enthusiasts have been using as well, right? So BERT model could actually be used for calculating cost savings when certain purchases have been made through, say, marketplaces or SourceSage or whichever the case is, and what kind of value does it bring to the organization for stakeholders. Now, without further ado, I shall bring up our fireside chat panelists. Sorry for making a mistake just now. Peter Woon, as well as Mr. Dennis Lui on stage, who will be sharing with us their years of experience in the industry. For Peter will be procurement, and for Dennis will be, I think, the broader management side of things that's looking at from digitization of government infrastructure and technologies. Welcome both. You can just sit here, I think it's fine. Yep, welcome both of you. Yep. So I do know Dennis, I guess, from a common layer, which is both of us graduated from Oxford in different years, right? But one from PPE, I just realized, and I do engineering science, which is not very exciting, but that's where I'm at in doing technology startup. So perhaps one of the key questions, thank you very much, is to maybe just introduce some of the key digital technologies or even initiatives from your organization, if you are able to share, and some of the key outputs from your stakeholders who have utilized those technologies as well. Yeah, thank you. Maybe
Hi,
Dennis
thanks.
first.
Thanks, I'm Dennis. I thought it's better to introduce myself and what I do because most people don't know. Vital is this. First, thanks for the invite. And also about the PPE thing. PPE is that degree that has caused the destruction of the United Kingdom. So don't listen to me, listen to him. So Vital is actually a department in the Ministry of Finance. We are not a subsidiary, we are not a SAT board, we are actually a department shared up to do shared services. So we started our life in 2006. It's been 16 years, 16 very challenging years. But in recent times, we are doing a lot more in terms of trying to build together the digital infrastructure. When I received the invite from the organizers to speak, I was a little bit apprehensive because I am not a procurement expert. In fact, I've done tax all my life. I spent my first 16 years in IRAS. So anyone who got tax issue can look for me. But you see, what happened was in 2017, they decided to send me elsewhere. So I went to the Ministry of Home Affairs, and that's where I started to do a bit of procurement. And that's where I actually learned a lot about government procurement, and I got to know Mr. Chia Se-hui very well. When it comes to procurement, he's the boss. I'm his hands and legs. So I was in the Ministry of Home Affairs, where we had to do all kinds of interesting procurement, from things in the bright side of the country to the very dark side of the country. Yeah. And then after that, they asked me to head up Vital. It's a shared service organization with over 500 people there now. But primarily, we do HR, payroll, finance. Increasingly, we are trying to do more procurement, right? So we talked about all the new technologies. We're also trying from the manpower side of the house. Currently, procurement in government is very decentralized, right? Very decentralized. We're really trying to think about how to use technology as a platform to give us more value add and more opportunity to kind of centralize a little bit more within the center of government. For Vital, then we are looking at, for example, consolidating more of the more general services. We already do what we call as a whole of government demand aggregated tenders, right? Some of you may be aware of that, but it's not so, it's quite different from the rest of the industry because we can't give any volume commitment. But basically, we go out and say, I need Kongguan biscuits, I need I need a Milo, can you give me your best price? Then it's like a catalog. So we try to adopt all these best practices from the industry. In terms of actual digitalization of procurement, I'm taking a lead from Se-hui. He talked about quick buy. But what we do is we support whole of government implementation of new systems. If you look at the HR and finance side of the house, I think government has made a big move. In the past, it was about bespoke, on-prem, just doing in-house, a lot of security. Kudos to the guys that run security. We have now decided more and more things we can put on cloud. Right? So on the HR space, we're also using Workday. That's a huge, huge system which we're using in. My organization is stepping up. We're trying to build an integrated RPA infrastructure so that if you connect me on LinkedIn, you can see some of the things we're trying to do in terms of at the center of shared services, we also become like an ops tech leader. So my, even though I'm not a procurement expert, I want to come here to learn what's happening in the procurement industry by way of platforms, what platforms you're using, SaaS platforms, best-in-class platforms, and I think going forward, the government philosophy in Singapore is really buy the best-in-class, don't build, don't rebuild on things, but bring it in and architect our security around it. So I hope that gives you an overall context of what we do. Thanks.
That's really insightful. And maybe from the commercial side, Peter has many, many years of experience in procurement. I think he came from MBS, right, where the challenges are kind of different. But maybe just to give us some flavor of your background in procurement and how has that evolved with your current role at Cushman and Wakefield? Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, so Jeremy mentioned earlier on there, so I was fortunate to be part of the founding team that started Marina Bay Sands back in 2009, 2010. So buying there is quite interesting. So normally when people ask me the question, so what do you actually buy at Marina Bay Sands? Okay, so the simplest and most easiest way to describe it, and I've shared it with many of my friends, so you look at a building, you turn it upside down, anything that falls, I buy. So that means there's a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I have to buy because it's a wide variety, wide categories of things that we buy, lots of services that we buy. And as such, it's challenging at that time. And this was in 2009, 2010, when they were opening up the property here and there. But having had that experience back then, so it helped me a lot in looking at different ways of buying, different ways of designing and developing the different needs in order to address. And that's where we found that when you're buying about 200,000 SKU kind of items and on a daily basis, you have to find a different way of buying, not the traditional typical category or whichever management, but certain areas where you're going to spend more strategic, then you go into category. But those areas that is what we call a low value, low risk and repetitive buy, then you may not want to go into a category or commodity kind of strategy. Because again, it's low value, low risk. Just like what Survey has mentioned earlier on in the government side, they went for the quick buy situation. So that's kind of similar kind of thinking. I guess most of us will come to a circle when you go around at the end of the day. Where do you want to place your people, your resource to manage this kind of buy? You certainly do not want a procurement professional buyer whom you're trying to develop and groom into a specialization to handle low value, low risk buy. You want to empower the user to be able to do that themselves. And that's where the formulation of catalog buying in the early days, where you talk about individual catalog for whether it's a specialty platform like chemicals, whether it's a specialty platform like for food and beverages, etc., etc. But there were individual platforms of their respective trades. So right now we are with the fantastic technology, AI, and what have you right now today, and Dr. Trek and Dr. Jack talking about machine language and that, we're able to do what is called a multi-catalog platform, where you can bring in, punch out into the equation and you go across. And this is where another level of the threshold of looking at it differently. And again, take note that these are activities that you want to leverage technology without needing to put your expensive or your resource, limited resource or procurement resource into this area. You want to focus your procurement resource into category management that strategically impact your organization most and do the contracting, the sourcing, the negotiation more actively in that area rather than the low value, low risk buy items, here and there. So, and with that mindset of what I've done and learned during the MBS time, I then translated that kind of thinking process into currently my role at Cushman and Wakefield. So Cushman and Wakefield, we buy for not only for ourselves, as in a corporate buy, we also buy on behalf of our clients. So we are managing facility management, properties, assets for our clients. And as such, part of it includes outsourcing activities on the client's behalf. That means, the client appoints us to manage their properties on their behalf. As such, we were then trying to see, okay, how can we leverage that knowledge by consolidating volume aggregation, and going to master service agreements, framework agreements, in order to get the optimal usage of these areas for our clients. And then likewise, for ourselves and for our clients. And that's where we leverage the technology today in order to do that. And it has been a very interesting journey. One of the things about technology I must also stress is that technology alone doesn't work. Okay. Very importantly, you have to go in tandem with the process. So, what Chair Ming earlier has highlighted, the various processes here and there, the mindset in which both MOF as well as Vital is looking at. And also, last but not least, people. So it's literally a cliche, people, process, technology. You have to have these three in tandem in order for the thing to work. If these three are not in tandem, you can have the best technology without the right people or right skill sets, without the right process, you still fail. So this is very important. Thanks, Jerry.
Here, a few interesting keywords, from demand aggregation, from multi-catalog. So it pinpoints to really the aggregator model in some sense, right? Which is like promoting Expedia for procurement for SourceSage. I think, one of the interesting points mentioned by Peter earlier is really in terms of the PPT, right? The people, process, technology perspective, where when you introduce digital initiatives or even new platforms, inevitably, you face challenges, obstacles, and very much as a change management as well for staff to, change the mindset of doing things the same way, right? So perhaps very specifically, what are some of the key interesting, I think, stories you could share, if possible, on how actually, what are exactly these challenges and how you actually overcome these obstacles from your point of view, or maybe not directly yourself, but, your team. Yeah. Maybe Peter can start first.
Sure, thanks. Okay, I think this all boils down to change management. Okay, so earlier on at the table, we're also talking about change management, and primarily change management is critical. No doubt, as simple as it may sound, you can actually face quite a big challenge if you don't manage it well. So change management, again, one of the key elements of change management is communication. All right, okay, when you put in a new technology, you must explain to your user why. Why are you putting that new technology? What's the purpose? What's their benefit? What's in it for them? These are important questions that you need to answer and provide them the information so that when they need to change from what they're used to doing it to another way, then they're able to appreciate and then also be able to adopt, land a much more easier form of adoption of the new technology. So change management is important, listening to your users. So we got a lot of surveys that we've done prior to implementing. During the implementation, we run a pilot. And then also during the pilot, we get feedback from them as well in terms of what are the things they like to see. And again, when you take the kind of feedback, we always have to manage the feedback with the end users as well. We have to manage and say, look, it's nice to have, it's not a must-have. Okay? So anything that's nice to have, okay, nice to have. Right? And then we will focus on the must-have. If there's enough volume of traffic, of needs for a certain particular must-have, then we make that into a mandatory point and we make that change management respectively. So again, this managing of that and communicating it to the users, letting the users understand what is the purpose of the platform. And again, I stress the word, when we launch a platform, we have to remind the users over and over again. It is not a platform that you go and buy your consumer stuff in your home buying and consumer buying. This is a platform for you to buy what you need to buy for the company, for your customer. At the same time, it's a platform for you to use when you need to buy what is called low value, low risk, and repetitive buy. Okay, it's not something that you want to just go in and do an e-commerce buying kind of thing. So there is a purpose, there's an objective, and then you must address those characteristics. Then only you understand the need for the buy.
I thought I wanted to pick up a couple of points, but first a caveat, because I've never worked in the private sector, so I don't really know how your procurement works. I mean, in theory, I know I talk to friends, but I thought just share a couple of stories. Before I took on my MHA role, where I had to be involved in procurement, I sat on tender boards. Before that, as a government employee myself, for the first 16 years, I thought government procurement was terrible. Yeah, a terrible pain. Because why? Because every time we wanted to buy something, we had to go to tender. Until this quick buy thing came about, even when we do small value purchases, your point, right? I have to spend so much time justifying, right? So I'm thankful I met Sir Hui at a younger stage of my career where I started to push the boundaries, and lo and behold, he told me, because he was already at the Ministry of Finance, he told me based on our high-level policy, it's doable. But it's your agency that put in all these additional layers, So I don't know whether that happens in your side, but I felt extremely frustrated at that time, right? And that also translated to your point about people, right? For some reason, the procurement professionals, and this is about 10 years ago, working in government, saw themselves as gatekeepers and trying to protect the rules and protect the government from Auditor General queries and all that kind of thing, which is strange. But I think fast forward to today, there's a lot more realization that procurement is actually a strategic partner of business, right? So I fully agree with Peter's comment, right? That we need to use the technology to do away all the menial work, all this, follow the rules kind of thing. Let machine do this. But the procurement professional needs to partner the business people and even the C-suite to bring the agenda forward, right? So one story I heard, I shouldn't give too much names because it will embarrass people, is that, sometimes government officers, including myself, can be very naive, right? We dream of something, we see something, we like it very much, then we write it down in the tender specs in a very high level, and then we put it out to tender. It's very strange. Then what happens is the industry will come back, they will bid, they will respond to your tender and tell you this is exactly what we think you want, and then we will award. And after that, 3 years later, the project never materialized. I don't know whether you have that kind of experience or not. We really did. And that's the reason why we're here. We want to learn how it is better done. At least in my own experience, doing with a current project, which I've dealt with, I told my people, they showed me a tender specifications, and I asked a few questions, including what exactly do you want? And I realized my guys had no idea. They just threw our industry saying we want some improvement of this system which we already have. So I think the procurement, at least in government, at least my team, can do a lot more in terms of learning from the industry, what's happening. We rely, at least when it comes to IT, we do rely a lot on industry journals. If you look at IT, you mean the Forrester, the Gartners, right? We look at the Magic Quadrants. I saw that your sponsor is on some quadrant, right? We look at those and try to learn exactly why they are there, who is using them, okay, government never wants to be in a way taking too much risk. So we want to be fast followers, fast followers. So if you have a platform that is well recognized, yeah, then we want to take a look at it and ask ourselves then how can we bring it into our ecosystem. I think that's a big lesson for myself and my team.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, so to respond to your earlier question on the, you putting out your tender specs and then at the end of the day not using it here and there. In the private sector or generally, in the procurement professionals, all procurement leaders here, we actually learn from the industry first. So before we put out anything, rather than you put out and ask for RFP straight away, you actually go and RFI first. RFI is literally stealing knowledge from the industry. Learn shamelessly from the industry. Pick the best on a particular area, some of the best of breed solution providers, what have they, bring them into a discussion point and ask them, learn from them, what's there, what do they do, what solutions that they have currently, what's the industry trends and all that. And then from there you pick up pointers to put into your specification. Because you alone, you're only looking at it from a very microscopic or whatever siloed view. Whereas on the industry, once you have not one player, but 2, 3, 4 players, then you're able to see, this is the trend, this is the practices. And then from there, you then carve out your RFP, and then finally your RFQ, to get your final proposal. And these are the stages that we do. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Now that you mention it, yeah, we actually copied that on one project, but not enough. So thanks.
Yeah, interesting. I think interesting view from both gentlemen. Fortunately for SourceSage in our public, participation in tender, the things we tendered for and won materializes, right? From COVID test kits to, MOE vouchers and all that. So fortunate on our side. And we of course use many of the public platforms out there. Now, it is interesting to also, take a view on the future, right? We spoke about the challenges, some of the history we have with procurement technologies or issues with people. But if we were to take the view and let's be bold about this for the next maybe 2 to 3 years, right, or even 3 to 5 years marked, what would you say from your perspective of how procurement will evolve? Of your best guess. In that sense, right? Sorry, sometimes people just want Oracle. And I participate in a lot of conferences where, like in palm oil conference, or that people are asking about what the palm oil price is. We might as well use machine learning. But this is not talking about prices, but more towards the trends of what we should see, over the next 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 years. From your perspective, how that will actually evolve. And I think in the next panel, we will be talking more towards the role of procurement on how that evolution will come about. But perhaps on the trend first from both gentlemen. Yep.
Okay, that is what we call a $1 million question, a crystal ball kind of question, all right? Best guess, okay, best guess. I would say that definitely with the current resource constraints that we have, in terms of people, definitely the need to leverage off technology in many forms. And today's technology has already progressed to a very advanced stage, and there's more scalable opportunity with the use of AI, NLPs, and what have you. Today, we are able to then do the repetitive stuff or the transactional kind of activity in a more efficient way, and we are able to scale that not only on the typical transaction buy, like what was shown in the demo early on, but we also can move into the other areas of contracting, sourcing. Okay, where right now you have intelligent source bots doing the work of sourcing activities. Okay, we are contracting. We can also have contract bots using AI to then look into your various contracts, exposure, etc., using AI or that. So that then take away that so-called transactional activity of the procurement team that was used to doing it in the last 10 years or so. And then make us more, the procurement professional now have to then upskill ourselves and the team to then look into different kind of value add to the organization. And technology alone will not be sufficient enough, because at the end of the day, there still needs to be some level of human intelligence not to get involved in, to augment the final decision making. And this is where I think where we need to upskill the necessary staff, category managers that are knowledgeable in their respective categories, that lend insight into respective markets, respective industries and segments, that can take the data, let the data be run by the technology, and then put in your human intervention to then put in the final recommendation of what direction to go. And that's where the skill sets have taken and elevated to that. Today, we're also seeing that we are not only looking in one particular area, geographies, localization, all that. There's need for the resource to then also expand into different geographies and location. You have regional teams right now. You have global teams that companies are now leveraging to try and look into it. There's regional, no longer just looking at local contracts, they're also looking at regional contracts, looking at global contracts to try and leverage across the situation as well. And those are the things that people are trying to leverage through aggregation of volume, aggregation of activity, and in order to optimize the overall best value to buy for the organization and all that. So that's where I think procurement will take us to the new phase, that you're not only looking at just the buying of the activity, but looking at actually lowering the total cost of acquisition for the company, such that the company can get the best value for the bang for the buck, for spending their money here and there.
I agree with everything Peter said. But before, so I'm struggling. I should have gone first. But okay, first maybe you should pose the question to Terence. So I shall highlight Terence because Terence is our vital. We are a department. We realize we don't know much. So a couple of years ago, we formed what we call an advisory panel. And Terence is our first advisory panel member who is also in the procurement space. Yeah, so I think he's one of the reasons why I'm here. But I thought from a government angle, I thought a couple of points which came to my mind. First, when I was attending a virtual conference recently, talking to some shared services leaders based in the USA, they got this lady who was the assistant secretary of a transport in the US. I can't remember her name, I'm sorry. But she was talking about procuring cars for the US market. Procuring cars, then I was scratching my head, cars? Then I suddenly realized, she said, all federal vehicles have to be procured by her department. So I innocently asked the question, how many vehicles do you have? 750,000. Then my colleague was like, that's more than the entire vehicle population of Singapore. Then she went on to say, this is what I'm doing with my procurement. I'm going to make it go green. I'm going to have EVs by a certain thing. But then, of course, somebody then asked the next question, but there aren't that many EV models. So she said, no, I don't care. I'm just going to put out the requirement. US government is going to buy how many EVs by when the industry will shift. So I went away feeling quite encouraged, right? Procurement can be a very strategic driver. If somehow, okay, I don't talk about other people, Singapore government, we kind of like get our act together a bit tighter, which we are doing right now, right? With all the green initiatives coming up, Vital, as well as other agencies are being asked to say, all right, can we use procurement to shape industry, right? So for example, some of our latest demand aggregated tenders, right? We can do simple things like, for event venues, we want them to achieve a certain green mark, otherwise government won't buy from you. For vehicles, okay, this is a real story. For vehicles, I wanted to say, we can only lease green vehicles or EVs. Guess what happened? Your point. The industry came back and said, I don't have any in my fleet. So I think we can, at least from a government, and I think large companies can also do that, right? To drive industry outcomes, and that raises our function to a higher level. And there are many interesting ways to do so. Happy to hear more ideas of what else we can do. Yeah, thanks.
Ken, I guess we have time to take maybe 1-2 questions from the floor before we move on to the closing remarks by the gentleman. Maybe anyone would like to ask a question? Yeah, no, Haniza. Maybe can someone actually pass the mic, Daryl? Yeah. I guess we have extra mic, is it? Or from our side? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Haniza from Prasarana. We are the provider for LRT and the bus for Malaysia. So basically, my question is really on the blockchain technology. And do you have anything that, from AI technology to blockchain technology with the cloud and metaverse? Is there something, any discussion on this?
Thanks for the question. Very interesting and new developments in the area. Okay, whenever you mention blockchain, the first thing everybody talk about is cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, what have you here and there. But actually, there are more applications to it. Okay? And blockchain itself is a fantastic technology. Believe me, there are much more applications than just Bitcoin. Right? So some of the interesting things in blockchain for supply chain and for procurement is the ability to look at product or services, particularly product authentication and validation, traceability. Okay, because today part of the equation that we need to address is also the procurement fraud. I think Sir Hui mentioned, we talked about it earlier on, and the fraud itself is quite tough to manage unless you're able to have the ability to trace a product in terms of the product provenance, and understanding of there is applications right now in the market, and there's more applications moving forward where they use blockchain to do that. Besides the part about traceability of the product, understanding its origins and where it comes from and the source and all that, there's also another area of blockchain that's moving into the procurement and the contracting space. It's actually smart contracts. Okay, smart contracts not only involves in the contracting and making it more feasible and faster in terms of the AI portion of it, but also enabling the contracts to be transacted with the financial transactions all into one platform. So there is this trend. The challenge that they face right now is that blockchain and the area of financial transactions by country, cross borders, etc., is still very much a challenge until the governments settle their powwow session and their smoke session to a default standard. Then you'll see more adoption. Today, there are pockets of it happening here and there, but not yet to the point of cross-border kind of international kind of situation. But that is coming, akan datang. Okay, thank you.
If I may just have a contrarian view, this whole thing about blockchain, right? When I was my previous job, we already tried very hard to think about what we could do with blockchain. Fast forward many years, the reality is we've not done much. But a few points other than the crypto point, Peter is right. I think even within government, I've seen at least the Singapore government try to start to experiment a few things. I mean, land contracts. Also, this part about inter-government operations, right? Having a set of blockchain-enabled registers that between governments, especially for trade and all the data flows. Singapore Customs, our sister agency in MOF, I believe, has been looking at that as well. Not so easy. So I don't have anything positive to say. I've not seen anything that has struck me. So I thought I just wanted to just throw that point out. Thanks.
Just think that SourceSage can have some ideas for product demo for next year.
Yeah.
And our team is there, blockchain and a couple of things we can showcase. But thanks a lot to Professor Rana for Haniza for flying down as well to support us for this event. Yeah. Although I think it's pretty nearby, but it takes a lot of effort, especially on a rainy day as well. Yeah. So I guess let's move on to the closing remark. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to both speakers. So maybe just to close off, like a sentence of two regarding what would your advice be for companies who are adopting innovative technologies, right, to streamline procurement? What would be your one word or maybe few words advice to them as a closing remark? Thank you.
I can again speak for government. First, we need to understand and learn what's the best in class practice in the industry. To me, the big thing about procurement going forward is the kind of information we can have. Information and power, right? So I'm really happy to see SourceSage, really your core strength about pulling all the information together and enabling our staff to do more. I think that's very important. For too long, the procurement community has, at least where I come from, it's been seen as doing too low-level work. But there's so much value we can unlock together. I'm very happy to have this conference or this meeting like this, because I think we need to continue to exchange ideas and grow the profession. Thanks.
Sure. Just to add on to what Dennis has mentioned, yeah, I think the one of the key takeaways on such an event and such a kind of organization, such an activity, is not only the networking, the great dinner, and the food and all that, but also the actual networking and sharing, the sharing of exchanges of ideas here and there. And I think having the panel, having the fireside chat here and there, where we are sharing ideas of, again, not trade secrets, but ideas that we are able to share, and and exchange those ideas so that you can say, hey, okay, I have learned something new. This so and so company has done this. They seem to be successful in it. Maybe I should go and relook at it internally at my site. So you can have these kind of takeaways and learn and bring them back to your organization. Okay. Not every solution, I must caution, works for everybody. Okay, so you have to take whatever the information or knowledge, and then you have to see what applies to your respective business, vertical, industry, and so on and so forth. Scale it to up or down depending on your needs, and then to apply it to what works best for you in your industry. You are the only person, or your group, you're the only person who knows what your industry needs or your company needs. The others can only share what they have done in their respective companies and verticals, that you can then take away such practices and try to apply it back. So I think these are the good takeaways for such an event and organization. Thank you.
So thanks again to Dennis and Peter for their valuable sharing. I must say that, of course, SourceSage continues to support such event. Actually, from the point of view that we believe in pulling procurement community together. As much as there could be some overlaps in many of the companies who might be actually in the same field, but I think the sharing of best practices and all that could also be done, right? From a non-sensitive standpoint, and from government standpoint, we also have invited. I think our attendee includes the government of India and also I think from Australia side as well. But it's pretty late for them, I know, so they might listen to the recording because we do have some contracts with them as well. So. Thanks again to both of you, and of course, wish you have a pleasant day. If any of you want to speak to the speakers, do feel free to reach out during the networking or closing event. Thank you very much again. Now, in our final segment, we'd like to invite Power Pack panelists who actually has been also in procurement for a number of years. Mr. Terence Lee, CPO of Geodis SEO. Mr. Wo Hei, VP Group Procurement Telenor, and also the Chairman for Supply Chain Asia Procurement Council. And last but not least, Mr. Sebastian Chua, Head of Procurement from Health Promotion Board. Let's put our hands together to welcome them. Thank you. Yeah, Terence. Yeah, thank you. Sebastian. Yeah, hi. Thanks. Okay. Yep. So, I guess due to time limitation, we could just move on to some of the key questions. I think many of the audience might be interested to hear. And I must admit that Sebastian has given me a lot of tips and advice on how to ask these questions because I actually may not be, of course, very experienced in this field. And similarly, I do not have years of experience in procurement, so a lot of things to learn, from these conferences as well. So maybe just to provide 1 to 2 liner in terms of your introduction of what you do in your organization. And what are some of the key, digital initiatives that you probably are most proud of, right? When it comes to talking about, procurement digital initiatives in your organization, or maybe, if it's not sensitive to share. Yep, thank you. Maybe one of you want to go first.
Well, first of all, good evening, everyone. It's really my pleasure to be here and contributing this event, especially, I think, after listening from the government. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and good practices to really drive innovation. Very useful. I think there are very good insights taking some reference for what they highlight, right? The fact that everything we do in the scope of procurement is about delivering more value for our organization, value from many different angles, right? From a financial perspective, but also value on how we can really satisfy our internal customers and stakeholders, right? And from this perspective, digitalization plays a key role. In a nutshell, I am working in the telecommunication industry. Telenor Group is a multinational company with operations in the Nordics, also in Asia, in particular in Asia Pacific. We have a center of excellence for procurement and supply chain operations based in Singapore, For us, it's all about seeking how we can really maximize the scale, leverage from the scale to really drive value. Not only, as I mentioned, from the financial perspective, we really believe on the idea of procurement as a strategic asset for the organization, in the way we partner with our suppliers, in the way we create the ecosystem of our suppliers and third party working closely with us. Procurement is also an engine for innovation in the way we deliver products and services in time to market to our customers. And for us, digitalization, to go straight to your point, is, from my perspective, very much in line with what you already mentioned. It's an instrument to drive standardization. And for me, standardization is about speaking a common language. With our markets in the Nordics, with our markets in Asia, we all have a common way of working. And that's very important. That's how sometimes digitalization in a simple manner can really help us. From the perspective of people and organization, digitalization helps to put the focus on the things that really matters to us. I mentioned about procurement as a strategic asset, and we know the more that our people focus on stakeholder management, facilitating alignment with the stakeholders, focus on supplier relation management and key activities out there, which in reality will drive value, is more important than doing repetitive stuff that we can, to a certain extent, automate and simplify with technology. But, and I can keep going, but I think we need to be also humble and realistic in the sense that despite the fact that digitalization is an area very attractive today to drive change, to drive value creation, efficiency, productivity, we can speak for hours. There are also many myths in this area. There is a lot of hard work we need to really put in there in order to bring solutions to market. And companies like SourceSage really help us to really make things easier and go to market really adding value from day one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Terence. I'm actually the Chief Procurement Officer with Geodis SCO here in APAC. Geodis is a logistic company. We have 5 lines of business. My good partners, I didn't say competitors because they are our partners. Reason is the 4 lines of business are their competitors. We are from the 5th line of business, which is supply chain optimization. We partner everyone, okay, and we are certified neutral against our own company, so that's a plus. For the last at least 20 over years, I specialize in transformational change. Been working in many different, I see a lot of familiar faces here, so I've been working in many different fields and industries within the procurement and supply chain sector. For me, just now Peter mentioned people, process, technologies, but I call it people, process, system. Why? I like SQ better, PPS, you know. If you all know the joke, then it means you had PPS before. Okay, so the thing here is that what we are most proud in Geodis SEO is that we were not leaders in adopting the latest tech, but we were quick followers, like what Dennis has mentioned. And one of the areas that we really started off pretty early as a procurement organization was we started off with citizen developers. So low code, no code. And what we did there was, we all have systems. You have your SAP, you have your Oracle, you have this, that, everything else. You will always notice that there will be gaps. And you can always make a conscious decision of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to customize that, to close the gap. Or what we did is, we went down the low code mechanism. Okay, to build a separate platform that will drag data. I use the word drag because it's really painful. Drag the data out from existing data sources, massage it in the right way, and then pump it back. Okay, and that's developed by our own colleagues. It's no longer IT product. It's no longer IT IP. It's, in fact, our IT actually tells us to go and do it yourself. They're very happy to do that. Of course, that's one of the biggest plus, and we hope to do more of that. But a lot of problems come in the sense of whether people, this is actually the interesting bit, whether the people that you're working with get excited for doing that part of the job. At the beginning, it's easy. Oh, I finally got control. I don't need IT anymore. right? I can do it myself. But after a while, the excitement died down, and like, oh, this is extracurricular activity, right? I have to do my day job and I have to develop an app to close the gap. Okay, so that's the part that we are starting to see the tiredness coming. You know, how do you get people excited that this is important, this is going to facilitate you? And by the way, if you are going to do your procurement job forever and ever the same way you're doing, you're going to be replaced. Okay, maybe not with the robots of today, but maybe with the robots of tomorrow. Okay, because the RPA, they're getting smarter, they're getting much more interlinked, and trust me, no matter how many brain cells we have in our brain, we cannot beat the amount of RAM that you can put into a server. Okay, so that's something that we always have to understand, that it will always be evolving. And for me, my biggest challenge and biggest takeaway is we are very happy that we moved very quickly into that platform of citizen development kind of arena. But we are now observing that people tend to hold back and taking on an additional job.
Hi, good evening. Sebastian, Health Promotion Board. So what are some of the digital innovations that we have pushed out in Health Promotion Board? As you all know, the vision of HPB is to build a nation of healthy people. And this is not easy. And our mission is to empower each and every citizens to take ownership of their own health. And conventionally, what we have been doing, right? We have a few of these so-called health priority area: physical exercise, healthy eating, health screening, substance control. These are our priority area. And if I could use physical exercise as an example, in HPB, in case the audience may not know, we run more than 10 different types of physical activity campaign. For example, Sunday at the park, sunrise in the city, fitness at work. We have 13 various physical activity campaign. And why I say this is very conventionally executed, because we depend on trainer. We need a venue, and there is a time constraint. For example, Sunday at the park is targeting at people not working on weekend, come to the park near to the home to exercise. And we provide everything you need. You have the trainer, you have the sound system, you have the AED to take care of your exercise. But are we empowering our people? I was telling my boss then, we are not empowering, because there are people who need to work on weekend. What if the citizens happened to sleep late? Because Sunday at the park, the exercise starts maybe 7, ends 8:30. There may be people who wake up beyond 8:30 and they are late for the PA session or physical activity session, and thereby they are not able to leverage on this Sunday at the park program for them. So what should we do to empower our people? And thereby, we push the boundary. We come up with this digital app called Healthy 365, whereby we encourage people to walk more by giving each and everyone a step tracker, which we source from China. And everyone will then take ownership of your health. The more you walk, we encourage you through this digital app, whereby every walk, every step will be converted to health points, right? So it starts from that mental shift that exercising can be easy for you to embark anytime and anywhere. And we make it easy, make it fun, make it rewarding, right? With these two features, a step tracker and a digital app. And hopefully over time, the mindset shift will come in and it becomes a habit for you. And thereby, hopefully one day, even we remove this incentive, our citizens will still take ownership of their own health.
Thank you very much. I think maybe tomorrow we should start waking up early and then do some exercise before going to work, or make it our New Year resolution, right, for 2023. Yeah, I do have still that tracker, and then of course after a while you start to create a good habit on that. Perhaps when we talk about the attributes, habits, what are some of the key procurement attributes you think, from your perspective, to be cultivated in driving and embracing digital technologies in your organization? Maybe Sebastian, you want to take that first?
Okay, so the question is, what are some of the key attributes in embracing digital technologies? Okay, I believe there are many, but I could think of a few. So maybe number one, I would say intellectual curiosity. Everything starts from curiosity. You must be curious. If not, you will always end up seeing the same old things, right? So intellectual curiosity would means that for us to deliver faster insights for business decision, analytical skills will be in high demand. And thereby procurement people need to know how to ask the right why question, detect the patterns in the data, find the cause and effect relationship, and always challenge the status quo. And that is, to me, the intellectual curiosity. And number two, I would say technology savvy. Procurement does not need to become data scientists, but I believe we need to be familiar with new technologies so that we can have intelligent conversation with our business leaders. And number three, business acumen. As a business function, procurement needs to know our company, our operation, the value drivers, and the competitive environment. And lastly, storytelling skills. Data, to me, data is the mechanism that make digital business possible. But the delivery journey is the storytelling skills. The best digital technology will not change the mind of any CEO if the result or the outcome cannot be expressed in the form of a story or a business problem or a business solution. And thereby, I always believe that procurement is not just a buying function, right? It's a selling function. And thereby, procurement we need to learn how to sell our values.
I better go next because you already covered so many points. Otherwise, I'll be ending off with C above. Okay, for me, I basically have two attributes I want to share, and this is my personal belief. One is be very daring. Okay, because if you are not daring and you're always holding back, you want to be in a comfort zone, guess what? Standing still doesn't mean that you won't get run over by the traffic, right? And one phrase that I always tell my team and myself is, I'm crazy, but I'm not suicidal. Right, so I'm always very crazy for new ideas, new way of trying things, daring to go to places where people will think that I'm trying to piss them off, and probably I am, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, but I know where to push to the point that I am not going to be career suicidal. I'm not going to drive the business mad. So that's something that you have to understand. And the way to do that, that's the second point. You have to be aware. Okay, because in any transformational change, the 3 A's, right, you have to start off with awareness. If you are aware, then you are able to accept that you need to make certain change and therefore make an adjustment. So those are the 3 A's, right? And for me, again, I tell myself and my team, this is my phrase. First one is, I'm crazy, but I'm not suicidal. The second one is, I'm fearless, I'm not brainless. Okay, so I will try, I'll keep doing, I'll make sure that I'm aware and I will push. But I will push to a point that I don't get fired the next day. You go and tap your card and you can't get into office. Okay, so don't go to the extent, but take risks, but take calculated risks.
I think very good answers. Not much more that I can add to this question, but I will say, first I see a need on competence, people, and skills, right? Over the last months, I've been speaking in universities, and I can feel, for instance, I was in the NTU, and I can really see the mindset of these new generations that are coming out there. They are really thinking on everything they can do with data and all the value that they can create with this data. And I really encourage you to please keep doing so, delivering these very good solutions, because help us significantly. And even I remember, for instance, now come to my mind, a student, an intern from the SMU, and when I asked her after 2 months of internship, what is the major lesson learned? Said, well, I was astonished your people is still using Excel files rather than using new technologies. I think the message here is first, competence, skills, really embrace digitalization requires such kind of capabilities in terms of people, and capability building is today essential. The second is more, this is more fact-based, I would say, right? The second aspect is collaboration and co-creation, because there are many things that we can do in the field of procurement, but we also have our limitations creating the supplier landscape, right? The more we cooperate with our ecosystem of suppliers, the more value, the more opportunities we can find in our journey of digitalization. I tend to be very structured. I cannot afford, unfortunately, to go through a scenario where we can embrace failure and look, if I need to invest in technology, I have clear targets in terms of financial performance, productivity, the return of investment of supply chain assets. I cannot afford to stay 6 months looping, right? And then the co-creation, especially the collaborations with the suppliers to really bring to place and really facilitate implementation and adoption is also essential. And these are attributes that I think we all need. This kind of first competence and skill, second, the ability to collaborate, not only within the company, also with your supplier ecosystem, and third, also a bit of passion, right, on the things that seek for innovation, seek for the way to add value to the business in new ways of working digitally.
Thank you very much. I mean, to quote Steve Jobs, really, is people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are usually the ones who do, right? And I don't believe that, with the kind of procurement attributes, right, for many of the procurement leaders, it stands a chance, for startups to pitch in their idea, whether from a storytelling standpoint, business acumen standpoint, to really be able to have their technologies adopted, which is really, important, right? Because, for most startups, I would say, on behalf, sometimes, they would think, okay, procurement function, it's the toughest function I would sell in, I'd rather go to, customer relationship management software, so sell the marketing function or sales function. But I think, there's a chance, for us really collectively, from a technology standpoint, from a procurement standpoint, to really change something, right, or make an impact in that area.
Jimmy, mind if I add on something?
Yeah, sure. No
For all of my fellow procurement professionals here and on the line, the opportunity is now. That's the way I'm just going to put it across to everyone. It's never been seen that procurement has so much attention, so much in the limelight, so much opportunity of getting a seat at the table. If you miss it now, hopefully you don't have to wait for another pandemic to get the opportunity. Okay, because this is really the chance. If you really want to make a change, this is the time that your voice will be heard. This is the time that your actions will be seen. Okay, so if you want to wait until like 10 years later, good luck to you.
Thank you. So it ties to my next question, right? I think we spoke about procurement attributes, and I'm going to skip the question on some of the key obstacles facing CPOs or challenges facing CPOs today, because I think that was taken to some extent, in the last panel. Perhaps, what do you think makes a good procurement leader, and how do you think that role actually will evolve specifically, right, over the next couple of years? How do you think the role of good procurement leader, or even as a concept, would evolve from your perspective as procurement leaders in your organization? Yep.
I'll start. Otherwise, I have to see above again. Okay, for good, I would say not just a good procurement leader. I would say that in general, a good leader is one that if you can have your people's interests at the primary core of your being. If you understand what that means. If not, then I'll rephrase it. Okay, basically you live for your people. And your people doesn't mean the people that you work with. That means your subordinates and the colleagues around you, but also your stakeholders. If you can achieve that, then I would say that you are on the way to being a good leader. Okay, why do I say that? Because I've seen many micromanagers that don't survive this current wave of new tech, and I don't see them surviving the new wave of new generations of employees coming on board. Okay, the new millennials, the Gen Zs, they really hate micromanagers. If you haven't figured that part out, try it. You will see it for yourself. Okay, but they do appreciate one thing. They appreciate passion. Okay, then they also appreciate that you are interested in what they are doing. So my best guess is that the next generation of leaders that will be really successful, and you see the common traits among them, is that they will tend to put other, not that they will put others, but they will put the core of delivering their benefits to help the people around them. Okay, so if you have a subordinate, your main task will be to see them to be successful. I tell my team I'm the chief janitor. Okay, I will not talk about the next two sentences, but basically that's my job. Okay, because I have to make sure that I clear everything so that they are successful. I'm not saying that I'm a good leader, but that's where I'm mimicking. And that's something that if you are familiar with P&G, Procter & Gamble, you'll see that they have done this since the early 2000s. Okay, and they have come up with a very good generation after generations of very excellent leaders that have been to different organizations and have effected changes in those organizations in terms of culture, the adaptation of new ideas, and flipping the books, you know, from red to black. They are able to turn it around, and they didn't turn it around just by firing people. They turned it around by changing the people's way of driving the business. So that's not easy, and that's what I've seen.
Thoughts from Sebastian, perhaps?
Okay, so what make a good procurement leader, and what do I see in this role in the future? Okay, so I see procurement as a complete business role. Chief Procurement Officer is less of a functional master of procurement, but more of an enterprise leader managing the business. So what are the enterprise skills in procurement? We are all procurement professionals, and I believe we may have this qualification or certification of being a procurement person. Some of you here may have the CIPS qualification, CIPS, which is the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. And for me, procurement needs enterprise skills in CIPS, CIPS. And what is C? C is challenge convention. And what do you need to challenge convention? The critical thinking, the creativity, and the curiosity to understand the business needs, and most importantly, the market capability, and with the intellectual to connect both. That is C. And what is I? I for innovation. And I also for the intuition, influencing skills. And of course, being a procurement person, I for integrity. But not forgetting the I for investment in your staff. And what is P? Provoke new thinking. And you can't provoke new thinking if you don't have these P attributes, which is the passion, the purpose, the positivity, the predictability, the persuasion, the perseverance, and the people management skills. And the P goes on. And lastly, what is S? S is to solve business problem. Procurement is not about advising users or the business about rules, processes, and policy. Don't get me wrong, these are important, but this will not get you a seat in the boardroom. So what is S? S is to solve problem. And thereby, procurement need to have the service orientation mindset, the salesmanship to sell story, and of course, the speed to convince the business that procurement can help them to be successful. So to me, this is the CIPS entrepreneurial skills that procurement need to embrace.
Not much I can add right now. I think they have already answered
So
everything.
Sebastian.
In a nutshell, I will say a leader is a leader, whether in procurement or not in procurement. And at the end, I think the qualities of a leader, right, is to be a role model, to be someone that really cares for, that someone that has a clear vision, believe that with this vision will add value to their community, to their society, to the company, to his people, right? Someone that perseveres, that is resilient towards this vision, that is capable to really help drive and guide his people in this direction, right? And the more I think about it, in line with your question, because you are focusing more on what makes a leader in procurement, right? I think a leader in procurement nowadays is someone that really facilitates collaboration, someone that really embrace new ways of thinking, that empower the people, that, for instance, can empower suppliers, right? Again, to facilitate innovation, to facilitate technology evolution, despite the fact that sometimes you don't have an agenda in this area, but someone really that can really see opportunities and with a positive mindset can push in the direction to facilitate these opportunities forward. I think at the end of the day in procurement, we typically talk always about our code of conduct, and a leader has this code of conduct embedded into the DNA, and you can feel it. It doesn't matter, it is 25 years old, sometimes you can feel that there is potential because this code of conduct is part of the DNA of this person, is someone that already displays and lead by example.
That's a very good comment, right, of what makes a leader, whether procurement or not, a leader is a leader, right? And maybe to leave some time for Q&A from the floor, perhaps we can take more questions. I'm going to skip some of the questions so that at least we have some live interaction. Anyone has the first question for the panelists? Anyone? If not, I will refer to the webinar one. My phone ran out of battery, so I can't refer. Maybe anyone would want to. And perhaps maybe I can just add on, because I think, Terence, you mentioned about the success of your team, right? So one of the questions that we have sort of note down is really how do you measure procurement success? Although this success is a very big term, I guess, in that sense. Yeah.
I think the best way to measure a form of measurement of how successful your procurement is how willing your stakeholders are able or are willing to speak or to you, right? For those of you who are in the early stages of procurement previously that I was in, people hate you. People don't want to talk to you. You are basically a hindrance. You are delay in the process and so on and so forth. So the chances of them talking to you and the questions that they ask you is, Sebastian, if I do this, will I get into trouble? That's basically it. Otherwise, it'll be, hey, can I don't do 3 quotes? Right? Those are the questions. But you notice that those very successful procurement organizations, the engagement is very different. The engagement that they have is like, Sebastian, these are the things that I'm buying now. Is there a better way of doing it? Jorge, can I bring your procurement organization colleagues into an early part of the process so that we are ahead of the curve? You notice that the kind of engagement, they want you. They hopefully need you, but not in the wrong sense of just compliance and governance, but they want to be seen having a conversation with you. That's my best measurement of a success. If someone wants to do that to a procurement person, I would say you've got it. At least if you look at the traits of people who have that kind of engagement level, typically they will show that they understand the business. Typically they will show empathy. And typically they will show a very good understanding of whatever category or spend that they are responsible for, so that they can be seen as an expert or a resource or go-to person.
Yeah, that's a good way. And to tie into Sebastian's comment on P, right, which is provoke, new thinking. I think back to Terence's point, which is the kind of engagement is kind of different, right? I mean, they don't ask about what's the price of this versus the price of that. And it is fortunate, for SourceSage to be working with many of our clients who are also present here today, who actually, belongs to that category where they actually would provoke new thinking, especially in part of our weekly or regular catch-up and meetings. So we are very fortunate, and we hope that this will actually change the way. And as more procurement leaders actually sort of move around the industry and stay on, that kind of thinking will actually spike, more fruitful thoughts, right? I think in other companies they would join in the future. Now, I know maybe it's pretty late into the night, so maybe we'll leave the audience question to the networking session later, should you decide to stay on. Maybe the last part is really a closing remark. I think as a procurement leader in your own organization, what would you say to other leaders, or maybe it could be young procurement professionals today who may be watching the webinar as well, who are maybe in the early years of their career? What would you say to these people? Yeah.
So I understand the theme for this panel discussion is how we look at the past, the present, and the future of procurement. And thereby my closing remarks will be, accept our past without regret. It's over, right? Handle the present with confidence. Face our future without fear. And what is fear? Fear has two meanings. And I think I shared that before, right? Fear has two meanings. Either you forget everything and you run. That is F-E-A-R, right? Forget everything and you run. That is fear. Or you face everything and you rush. The choice is you and mine. So that's my closing remarks.
Well, I would say, I will, first of all, to the young generations, I will always encourage them to take a career path in the scope of procurement. Terence mentioned before, right? How relevant is today the agenda of procurement for the business overall. He mentioned as well, supply resilience. I have never been in my entire career in a situation where procurement is as relevant as it is today, to cope with the current climate of financial pressure, to cope with the current climate of potential disruptions and a scenario of complexity and uncertainty we have in there. We play a key role. For many years, procurement has been seen as a traditional operational back office function. More and more, I think the corporate world, multinational corporates realize the strategic role procurement play as an asset in the co-creation of the ecosystem, as an asset to really drive value, as an asset to drive the agenda of long-term sustainability. I'm not going to go through topic and big words, but ESG sustainability, this is a very important, relevant topic, right? Beyond procurement or business, yes or no. This is about an ethical aspect today. It's about whether we believe on the role we play and the importance that whatever decision we'll take, the impact of whatever decision we'll take in business will have for the society, for the community, for the new generation, right? And that's what we are discussing today. When we work in the scope of procurement, every decision we take has relevant implications for the future, for the ecosystem, for the world around us. And I wake up every morning with a passion to come here, and I encourage every new young professional that is starting this career to take this journey with courage, with passion, because it's really rewarding, and enjoy every single day. Independent of in which role you are, enjoy the journey of procurement and supply chain.
For me, the young ones and the old ones, my suggestion would be the same, which is embrace change. Because the most consistent thing in the world, other than tax, death, that will be change. Okay, so you should know that that's an old joke. I'm just spinning it off. But the reason here why I say change is because for those of us who have been in procurement long enough, you know that procurement didn't start off on a very sexy note, right? To join procurement is either you went through the admin route or you were thrown in because someone thinks that you are a pretty good robot, right? So that's how sexy it was in the past. Now it isn't the case. With startups, with a lot of bright ideas, things are coming. And if you are in the earlier generation like me, if you don't embrace change, good luck to us, because what's going to happen is you're not only going to be run over, you are literally going to be churned out and spit out very quickly by the change that is happening around you. If you are young and you are not embracing change, that's kind of odd, because the whole young generation revolve around 10 seconds of attention span, right? You put an iPad, right? YouTube used to be very good, right? 5-minute video. No, it's shorter, TikTok, right? And that's what's happening. And people nowadays are very willing to allow change to happen to them. But I sense that that's where the problem is. You're letting the change happen to you. You're not taking control of enabling yourself to be part of that change or even take leadership in that change. So that's where I think any suggestions to young and old, embrace change. But like I said earlier, procurement is in the perfect position right now. And so is supply chain professionals. If you don't embrace change now, you don't take the lead, I honestly don't think that you're going to have as good an opportunity in the next 10 to 15 years as today.
Okay, and if I could make this observation, every year we work on our work plan. And work plan will comes with KPI. What is your KPI for 2023? So this is the question that my team asked me, Sebastian, what is the KPI for FY23? I think through and I say, forget about all procurement KPI. Let's work on these 3 principles. Number 1, clean up the mess. The mess could be compliance risk, it could be supplier risk, it could be supply chain disruption, whatever. It's procurement job is to clean up the mess, whether we like it or not. Number 2, are we able to tell the business leaders what they do not know, i.e., what is new to them? And number 3, it is our job to make our business leaders successful. And if you cannot do these 3 things, then minimally do the last thing for me, which is to make your boss feel special.
I thought you asked them to walk more often.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's always good to hear from Sebastian, especially, you spoke at the KL conference for CPO summit, and then, we met there. And I'll say that sometimes it's always, good to develop new features and new things, but we often have to look back and say, hey, there are certain mess that we have to clean up, right? In engineering terms, we call it refactoring of our codes, right? You could be pushing out new codes, new features, but you have to look at your old existing codes to make them better, right? To make things load faster, for instance, right? So these are all things that need time and resources to clean up, besides pushing new things as well. So once again, thank you very much, and put your hands together for our panelists, Sebastian, Terence, and Nohe as well. Yep, thank you so much for the valuable insights. Yeah, thank you. And I hope I achieved the last P, which is punctuality. Hopefully that we can end off on time. For the last segment, I probably have to invite my colleagues to give me some cue on who actually could be winning the lucky draw. So I don't really have a phone with me, so yeah. Okay, so we got... Okay, Brian, yeah. Just for the final segment. Okay. Yeah, so we have a winner coming up. There was some confusion because of the hashtag Sage in Sourcing versus 2022 Sage in Sourcing. So the winner for this year's, I guess, lucky draw goes to Man Yun from Toll Group. Yep, congrats on your posting. Yeah, so maybe, I guess the voucher from Grab is digital since it's environmental friendly, but maybe I can just shake your hands and congratulate to your posting. Yeah. Thanks again, yeah. Yeah, thank you for your post. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And of course, for those of you who may not have won the lucky draw, continue the posting because from our event sponsor and partner itself, Grab, is promoting a lot on Grab for Business digital vouchers, which is to go away from the physical vouchers. So if you have more LinkedIn posts to share, our team will be contacting you in a few days to come, since we do have a number of vouchers to be given out. With that, I will do my closing remark for this year's 2022 CPO Networking Dinner. Thank you once again to everyone, especially to Haniza for flying down, from Malaysia to Singapore, attending this conference as well, and to many of our customers and of course stakeholders and of course distinguished guest speakers, VIPs, for taking their time off on a Monday, especially towards the end of the year. Many of us will be traveling, will be going around, and I think some of you may return from overseas travel as well. So thank you once again for supporting us, and we hope to do this more for next year, not only for the CPOs, but we also have plans for Suppliers Day to connect both the sellers and the suppliers and also buyers, right, in a single conference, but also for all the other regions in different parts of the world that we serve, right, be it Japan, China, and Southeast Asia, Australia, and India. thank you very much once again, and congratulate to many of our winners as well. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.